Hello everybody, this is Magnetar Prime, and here I have the Transformers Energon figure, Snowcat. This is a deluxe class figure released in the year 2004 under the Transformers Energon line. The reason why I'm reviewing this figure is because lately all of my video review has been about classics or generations figures, and with all of the new Transformers Age of Extinction figures coming out soon, I just wanted to do something different, and here we have Snowcat. And before I start reviewing this cool figure, and just to refresh your memory, because come on, it has been 10 years, well, Snowcat is actually Cyclonus that was rebuilt or upgraded into a new body after begging for repairs to his commander Megatron, because he was badly damaged by the Autobots in battle. Now, let's go ahead and review this cool figure. I'm gonna bring it closer to the camera, and as you can see, this figure's design is very nice. It does have a lot of details applying to the plastic mold, and the paint job applied is just fantastic. I definitely like the white and light blue and also the burgundy colors applied to this figure. This is what it looks like from the backside view, and here it has its two spring-loaded missile launchers, which are made, or this section right here is actually like a clear plastic, which is very nice. I'm gonna fold them forward again. Now, like I said before, the details in this figure are very nice. As you can see, it does have so many details applying to the plastic mold. Like for instance, right here on the shoulder, we can see a lot of sculpt that has been applying to the plastic. So it's right here on the cockpit, which it is something common for the Transformers of that era. Like I'm talking about 10 years ago, or at least the Energon line. They had this clear cockpit, and you can actually see some of the inside, and it is very well detailed and designed. You can even see the steering wheel right here and two little seats in here. Now on the chest, we can see the nice Decepticon insignia right over here, and we can also see some lights that has been applied right into the plastic mold, and it is a nice detailed figure. Now for the legs, we can see the tracks right over here, and they do have a nice silver color applied right over here. The same on the other side. I'm gonna rotate this figure around again so you can see what it looks like from the backside view. And this section right here is the spring-loaded missile launchers, and they are, or this section right here is actually made out of a clear plastic, and you can fold them this way and fold this up once he's transformed into his robot mode. Now let me fix this real quick. As you can see, he can deploy his missile launchers right here, which is a very nice feature. And now I'm gonna fold this back in again. Now this figure has another detail right here. As you can see on the cockpit, it has a windshield blade right here, which is a very nice detail, and it actually can move. And if you look closer right here, some of the windshield actually has some frostbite applied to it, which is a very nice detail. Now I'm gonna set this figure here aside for a second. The other gimmick of this figure while transforming to his robot mode is that this section right here can be pushed down, and you can see it reveals the skis for the robot, and I think he did that in the show too, but I'm not really sure about it, which again is a very nice feature for this figure, and it doesn't really look too bad. You know, I'm gonna bring this closer so you can see some of the details applied to this plastic. And again, this is a 10-year-old Transformer figure, which is very nice. The details are really cool. I definitely like it. Now the head sculpt, as you can see, it is a very nice representation of the character Snowcat that was portrayed in the Transformers Energon series. It does have this like a breather mask applied to it, and again, the details are just really cool. I'm gonna set this figure here aside for a second. Now let's take a closer look at the articulation for this figure, and we're gonna start with the head sculpt, which by the way is very nice. As you can see, it has a lot of details. So the head sculpt can be moved up and down just barely, and can be moved to the side about this much. It is on a ball joint, and it is also attached to this entire back section right here. So when you fold this down, you will take or you will fold down the head of this figure, and this is the reason why it cannot be rotated 360 degrees, despite the fact that it is actually on a ball joint. Now moving on to the shoulders articulation, they are articulated about 360 degrees, and it has a screw right here. Now this figure has a lot of screws instead of pins, which I have nothing against it, and it's actually even easier to fix. You know, if something happens to the figure, you can just like unscrew it and try to fix it, I guess. It definitely is much easier than trying to remove a pin, that is for sure. Now, besides the articulation of the shoulder, which is 360 degrees, we have a nice elbow articulation, about 90 degrees, and it seems to go both ways. Now, the fists are actually locked in place right here. They cannot be moved or rotated in any way. And as you can see, it's got this section right here. You can just like slide this in or out for the fist. Now, this particular left arm of this figure comes with this panel right here, and I never really figured out or what's the function of it. So if you know the function of this little panel, feel free to post a comment about it. Now, articulation for the waist of this figure, about 360 degrees without any issues at all. Now, the legs are actually on a ball joint right here, and they are very articulated. They can be moved front and back and to the sides. This figure has knee articulation, but sometimes this section right here is gonna get in the way, so you might have to fold this back, and then you will be able to articulate the knee of this figure. You know, that might be a little bit set back, but it is not that bad actually. Now, this figure doesn't have any kind of articulation for his feet, and that's pretty much all for the articulation of this figure. So as you can see, this figure is very articulated. And here, for a first size comparison, I have the Transformers figure Cyclonus, and I kind of feel obligated to make this comparison just because, and like I mentioned before, Snowcat is actually Cyclonus that was rebuilt or upgraded into a new body. Now, let's rotate these figures front to front. As you can see, these two figures are really cool, and I definitely like the design of both figures. This is what they both look like from the backside view. Now, let's rotate these figures towards the front one more time. And now, let's get rid of Cyclonus. And here, for a quick size comparison, we have the Transformers Energon figure Starscream, which is also a Transformers Deluxe class figure. Now, let's move them front to front. And as you can see, these two figures are pretty much about the same size. Now, let's look at the backside view of these figures. Now, let's bring these figures towards the front again. And now, let's get Starscream out of the way. And here we have Snowcat next to one of the Transformers from the movies. And this one is Deep Desert Brawl, which is a very nice figure. I really like it. Now, let's move them front to front. As you can see, size difference is obvious. We can obviously see that Snowcat is a bigger figure. Now, this is what they both look like from the backside view. And again, the size difference is very noticeable. But both of these figures are actually considered a deluxe class toy. And here we have Willy from the Transformers Generations line. As you can see, these two are pretty much about the same size. I think that Willy is just slightly bigger than this figure. Now, let's rotate this figure to see the backside view of them. Now, let's rotate these figures towards the front one more time. Let's get Willy out of the way. And here, for another size comparison, and also from the Transformers Energon line, I have the figure Hotshot and Prowl, which have been combined or super linked. Now, let's move these two figures front to front. As you can see, a size difference is very obvious. And on a personal note, I really like the Transformers Energon line. It is actually one of my favorite Transformers line, next to the Transformers Generations, of course. Now, let's get this figure out of the way. And here we have Snowcat next to a Transformers Generations figure Skywarp, which is also a deluxe class figure. Now, if you move them front to front, the size difference is kind of obvious. We can see that Snowcat is a bigger figure. Now, let's move this around towards the front one more time. And let's get Skywarp out of the way. And here we have Snowcat next to the Autobot leader Optimus Prime from the Transformers Generations line. As you can see, these two figures are just awesome. I definitely like both of their styles. Now, let's move them front to front. And this is what they both look like. Now, let's rotate these figures towards the backside view. And these two are actually considered a deluxe class figure. Now, let's bring them back to the front. And now, let's get Optimus Prime out of the way. And now here we have Snowcat next to the Voyager figure Blaster, which also belongs to the Transformers Generations line. As you can see, the size difference is just pretty obvious. Blaster is a Voyager class figure. Now let's rotate these figures around to get the backside view, and let's move them back towards the front. Again, these two figures are just really nice. And here we have the Transformers Prime figure Sharticon Megatron, which is a Voyager class figure. Now let's move them front to front, and as you can obviously see, the size difference is very big. Now this is what they look like from the backside view. And let's rotate these figures around one more time. Now let's get Sharticon Megatron out of the way. And now let's get Snowcat transformed into his vehicle mode, which is a homage to the G.I. Joe Snowcat SEM half-track vehicle. And the transformation is very simple and fun. And this is another reason why I really like this figure. Now let's get started. Now transformation for this figure is very simple. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull this all the way up, these missile launchers. We're going to fold this section down, and we're going to move this up just like so. Now we're going to leave this alone, and we're going to push this fist right into this section right here, and we're going to move it towards the back, referring about this section right here, and we're going to lift this up and rotate this around just like so. Now I'm going to do the same thing right over here, and we're going to move this up and rotate this around just like so. Now as you can see, there's a hole in here and a tab, so we're just going to put these two pieces together, and we're going to attach them in a secure manner just like so. Now we're going to move this up this way, and now this section right here, we're going to rotate this around, and we're going to fold it all the way up just like so. Again, it's very simple and very easy to do. Now we have a few options here with the skis. First thing, I'm going to leave them just like so for now, so you have a better idea of what they look like. And I will do the same thing right over here. We're going to fold this all the way up, and again we're going to attach these legs together. I'm going to secure them in place, and this is pretty much a transformation for Snowcat. And as I mentioned before, it is very simple. It was super easy, and it took me about a minute and a half or maybe two, and this is just because of the camera is right in front of me. Now this figure has a lot of details. I definitely like his vehicle mode. I think it looks just awesome. Now just so you know, this section right here actually should be hidden right over here, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like once he got all of his weapons deployed. Now let's take a closer look at Snowcat's vehicle mode, which is very nice, and it definitely was very well designed. The colors applied are just awesome. I definitely like all of the details that has been sculpted right into the plastic mold, especially right here on this section of the half-track portion of the vehicle. It is just really cool. I definitely like the wheel rim that has been painted gold, front side of the vehicle, and again this section right here can be moved up and down. Again, this cockpit has a lot of details, and unfortunately it will not open at all, but you can see like even the steering wheel that has been added to this cockpit section, which is very nice. Now, like I mentioned before, this vehicle has a lot of gimmicks, but first we're going to start with these missile launchers, which I folded right in as you saw, and we're just going to fold it back up, and we're going to leave it for like this for now, for next few seconds. Now this is supposed to be an homage to the G.I. Joe Snowcat vehicle. Now if you really want this vehicle to be able to ski on the snow, all you have to do is you just have to activate this gimmick, which is very simple. You're just gonna fold this down, and it will actually give this vehicle some kind of skis, if you want to call it this way. And we got this section right here. Now these panels right here, they also rotate. I didn't mention this before, but they do rotate this way, and this is, like I mentioned before, is you want Snowcat to be able to ride on the snow. So now it is even better, you know, as you can see. Now the only thing that I don't like about this gimmick is that once you lower this panel down, you can actually see through this hole right here, unless you fold this in and you keep it this way. But in my opinion, this figure looks good either way, either with the missile launchers in, or if you push them up towards the top of the vehicle. Now, before I bring some other Transformers figures for a size comparison, I just want to mention that this figure was also repainted and released under the Transformers Universe line as a KB Toy exclusive figure, released back in 2005 and 2006. This figure was repainted in super dark blue with orange accents. Unfortunately, this figure was hard to find because KB Toy had at that time financial troubles and they closed many of their stores. And this particular exclusive figure seems to be a homage to the G.I. Joe Night Force subline. And here we have the Transformers Generations figure Wheeljack next to Snowcat. As you can see, Snowcat's vehicle mode is definitely larger than Wheeljack's. Now let's rotate these figures around. This is what they look like front to front. So size difference is not too big, but you can actually tell that this figure is a little bit more massive and larger than Wheeljack's. Now let's get Wheeljack out of the way. And here we have the Transformers Cybertron figure Landmine, which has a very nice vehicle mode. Now let's move them front to front. And as you can see, the size difference is very obvious. Now let's move these two figures from the backside view. And let's rotate them around one more time. Now, I didn't mention that this figure actually has a pair of wheels right here, and they do rotate. It might not be the best set of wheels that we ever seen on a Transformers figure, but it definitely gets the job done. And here we have the Transformers figure Smokescreen, which also has a very nice vehicle mode. Now let's move these two figures front to front so you can have a better idea about the size of these two figures. Now let's rotate them around. This is what they look like from the backside view. And this is the upside view of it. So these two figures are probably about, maybe just about the same size, but you can see this one right here, Snowcat, is just a bit larger. Now let's get this figure out of the way. And here I have one of the Rainmakers from the BotCon 2013 souvenir pack. And as you can see, the size difference might not be so noticeable, but once you move them this way, the size difference actually comes in place. As you can see, the Seeker, this one right here is a larger figure. Now let's move them front to front. This is what they look like. And let's rotate this figure around. And now let's move on to the next figure. And here for a final size comparison, I have the Cobra Parasite vehicle. The only reason why I'm comparing these two figures is because this one right here is clearly a homage to the G.I. Joe Snowcat vehicle. Now, I don't think I'll be able to turn this figure around without knocking down the camera, but as you can see, this figure right here is just massive and I really like it. And if you're wondering why do I have this figure, well, I guess I'm full of surprises. Now let's get this awesome Parasite vehicle out of the way. And now that we have seen Snowcat transform into his vehicle mode, its robot mode, the gimmicks and accessories that comes with it, all I have to say is that this figure is just awesome. The paint job applied is fantastic, and the design for this vehicle alone is just great. And it will definitely be a great addition to your collection. And with this, I conclude this Transformers video review of the figure Energon Snowcat. This is Magnetar Prime. Until next time. If you like this Transformers video review, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Magnetar Prime, or stop by my Facebook page, Magnetar Prime Reviews. This is Magnetar Prime. Until next time.